Alright, so I'm gonna see, let's get started. Let's find a seat here. So it's comfortable. Great meeting ahead. All right.
I made you co-host.
All right, let's get started.
Watch the admin.
Everybody find a seat. Reconnecting with one another, getting started here. My name is Paul Reese. I am our Arlington Democrats Deputy Chair. And today is Deputy Day. This is the time of the year where we celebrate and recognize our deep bench of Democratic leadership here in this county. And I'll tell you, we have some absolutely phenomenal deputy chairs. Deputy chairs, could you stand up? If you're a deputy chair or in leadership, stand up. Let's recognize them. Please, round of applause for our deputy chairs. All right, we're recognizing our COVID precautions and policy. Let that slide. On our agenda for tonight. And welcome, Democrats. On our agenda for tonight, we're going to be hearing from Moni Bryant, Giselle Hashmi, our candidate for Lieutenant Governor. We'll be hearing from the Abigail Spanberger campaign, updates from several of our functional areas, and then we'll have a conversation, a brief announcement about our bylaws amendment. Slide. If you know, right? So here's why I'm leading off the meeting with a taco slide. Who knows what taco stands for? Extra, anyone want extra credit in the back? Right? What is
chicken salad?
Yeah, that's right. Say it louder. Trump always chicken salad. Yeah. And so this term was coined by Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. They made an observation about how this president goes about formulating economic policy. And it is that when he has an idea, he enacts these extreme tariffs. The markets react, and then he walks them back. And so Trump heard about this, and he wasn't so pleased. You see the source says he's not liking the taco meat. But I'm a little bit tongue in cheek about this because unfortunately there's a more sinister side to what is happening here in our economic policy. Last week, University of Virginia came out and an analysis found that 32,000 Virginians could lose their jobs next year or through the course of this year as a result of this administration's tariff policies. Sarah, what these tariffs are doing is they are creating a climate of business uncertainty for small businesses and anybody in this country that wants to go out and raise capital as a product in China, wants to go and do global business. That is not how the office of the president should be functioning. We look for stability, and that has cascading effects down to the local level. The one thing is that traders have seen that this is how the Trump tariffs work. But people on Main Street, those are the people who are impacted by these tariff policies. And as a result of this, Virginia's unemployment rate is going to increase next year. At the same time that we're seeing this taco business go up, we're talking about a reconciliation bill in Washington. $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years in tax cuts for mega corporations and the richest Americans. The largest transfer from lower income Americans to upper income Americans in American history. Now, if there ever was a sense of what this administration's policy priorities are, that's it. And if you look at that bill, it's not just tax policy. We're also talking about reductions in staff benefits and Medicaid. We're talking about public broadcasting. We are talking about cancer research. Things that impact people on a day-to-day basis. So that's why we organize here as Democrats. That's why you're here at this meeting. I'm so proud of you for coming out. And so as we talk through, I hope we all know that is what we're organizing for, and that is why we're here. Next slide. Democrats are resisting. We were up in Loudoun County a couple of weeks ago for the meme coin protest. I know, doesn't this sound ridiculous, guys? Like, we had to go to Loudoun County to protest because the president is having a private event with people who bet on his cryptocurrency. You couldn't write this in a Hollywood script 10 years ago, and here we are. It's absolutely ridiculous. So what I want to do is briefly turn it over to Rose to talk about some of the wonderful things that BOPA is doing on No Tuesday.
So. Can you hear me? Okay, two things are going on on June 14th, No King's Day, Indivisible, and the first one is We Have Action is doing 20 bridges across 66. We have over 800 volunteers from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then from 4 to 6, we have about 125 people, but we ambitiously would love to do Hands Across Arlington, starting at Langston Boulevard over near the Key Hotel, all the way towards Falls Church. And, so if you have any interest, QR code's right here. This one is the mobilized link. The other one is the sign up genius. So we can pick which block we'd like to represent. And so it's basically, signs, some music. We'll have people with first aid, all the carriers, make sure everybody's okay. And it's just making basically a statement. I don't know if you guys remember, if you're old enough to remember like me, Hands Across America, which was a statement against homelessness. This is a statement against Trump. So, if you know anybody, like to get involved, please sign up. There's plenty of room for Hands Across, Arlington. Thank you.
I will say, on Democrats, we are planning a day of canvassing. We believe that the best way to end this cycle that we are in with this administration is to knock on doors. We are going to deliver a knockout punch to this president in November with the election of Abigail Spanberger as our governor. All right, we're celebrating Pride Month this month. It is June. Happy Pride. In celebration for Pride Month, I wanted to play a brief video here from APS that they put together, several students and teachers talking about the importance of Pride. If we can get it up. Then we can maybe have the video. Do the video on YouTube. Oh. Okay. We like live, you can hear it. Oh, is that what's happening?
Let me see.
And acknowledge that they belong. And as a middle school teacher, just kind of help them figure that out as they are coming into that for the first time and exploring their identity.
To be able to affirm a student's personal journey, their pronouns, and how affirmative it is when I hear my students be able to correct themselves, or if they share a little bit about their own pronoun use.
I remember that when I was a kid, back at the turn of the century, I meant largely just visibility, right? If you felt safe and brave, Pride Month was a chance to be your true and full self, even out in public. Or if you weren't feeling so bold, others were doing it for you. And you can feel the safety of the community.
To me, pride means showing up for myself and for others. It's about being unapologetically real, supporting people who need it, and creating a world where no one has to hide who they are. Because after all, we're all human.
In the 1990s, I was let go from my first teaching job because I was gay. And I was told, we don't like gay people here. And we don't want you on our retirement plan. So for me, pride means having the right to be out, to be visible, and to be protected from job discrimination. I now get to create a classroom where students can thrive, where they can be seen, where they are safe, and where they are celebrated for exactly who they are.
To me, pride is ignoring and rejecting any of the labels and boxes that have been put on me by other people and inventing my own.
Pride is recognizing your values even when no one else does. Pride is unequivocal love. Pride is equity. Pride is being able to feel comfortable and develop a care about others. Pride is about accepting all others and accepting yourself no matter what.
Is a time not just for tolerance, not just for acceptance, but for celebration of those who may be LGBTQ. And I want to make sure that everyone in our community, from our staff to our students, who identifies somewhere within this wonderful acronym, within this wonderful community represented by so many colors in the rainbow, that you are valued, you are loved, and we are better off for having you here with us here in Arlington Public Schools.
Tell you, we're so glad you're here, and pride is being able to live your authentic self. And so to tell us a little bit about pride, I'm invited about Samantha Paris.
Everybody, my name is Samantha Perez. Most of you know me here through the work I'm doing as Vice Chair of Comms and Outreach. I'm also the Vice President of the nonprofit Quality Arlington that advocates for queer needs here in the county. And I'm also the Chair of Arlington County's newly formed LGBT advisory. But I think this quick because you have a full agenda, but we had a couple cool firsts here in Arlington. Dan, can you advance the slide? See here in a second, just press it right on the keyboard there. But this first one, if you were there a few weeks ago, up in Courthouse, we had the first ever Arlington sponsored Pride event. We had the World Pride Kickoff Block Party. And that was a lot of fun. It was a historic moment because Arlington County up to this point had never formally sponsored a Pride event. And so that was really cool to see. That was we've been advocating for that. A lot of people have been advocating for that. So it was really cool to see it formally recognized. And then even more important, if you were here for this, this was a very cool day when Arlington County declared a resolution of support for the LGBT community in the face of the attacks that have been coming from the Trump administration. Arlington made a stand and said that we're not going to cave in, that we're going to protect all of our residents, regardless of gender identity, regardless of sexual orientation, that everyone is welcome and will be protected here, and that we're not going to cave to the bullying that the Trump administration is putting on campus. I loved seeing that ABS video. I actually hadn't watched it before, so that was really good to see because Washington, D.C. is celebrating its 50th year of the Pride Parade this year. And 50 years is not a very long time to have these attitudes be shifting in a noticeable way in the country. And there is noticeable effort, especially this year, especially from this administration, to shift these attitudes back. Because of the attitudes you saw in the APS, because of teachers who want their kids to be happy, teachers who want their kids to thrive, no matter what they look like or who they love, or if their name is different than it was last month. Even last year, there were investigations into our school systems for letting these kids be who they are. And now, in the first full day of Pride Month, I don't know if you saw, but the FBI opened a tip line to snitch on people who are affirming for your children. They want to know about doctors, they want to know about teachers, they are so scared of a kid that looks different than they think kids should look, that they're bringing the force of the FBI down on these children, on these parents. And in other attacks that have been coming just this year, there was already talk of the impact on our region, the impact on Virginia, the impact on the country of the cuts that are coming in the one big bullshit bill. I don't know. If I can say that. I just got to- No, it's Pride, so. But on top of the cuts that are coming, on top of the cuts that are coming to Medicaid, if you look at the stats, there are a very large proportion of queer and especially trans folks due to rejection, due to employment discrimination that are on Medicaid. And even the ones that don't lose the Medicaid directly from the cuts, in this bill as it currently stands, all gender affirming care, all of the healthcare that I get to make my body function the way it's supposed to function, would cease being covered by Medicaid, by Medicare, and it would be taken off of the essential health benefits of the Affordable Care Act, which could eventually affect the private coverage, even of people who are not on these systems. And then going even further back, because they've been using transgender issues because they're newer to most folks, as the tip of the spear. But for the entire LGBT community, things are getting scary. I don't know if you saw in the news, but Jonathan Joss, who is an actor that you would know from, that you might know from King of the Hill, you might know from Parks and Rec, but he is an Indigenous man and he is a gay man. And this week, he was murdered in front of his house, in front of his husband, by a neighbor who was screaming homophobic slurs. And there's a level of fear, there's a level of recession they're trying to get us to culturally that we can't give into. And so Pride this year is more important than it's been in a really long time. The first time that there was a Pride, it was because the queer community had enough. We've been hiding in mom-owned gay bars because it was the only safe place for us to go. And Pride recognizes the Stonewall riots that was when there was one police raid on the bar too much, and it was the last straw, and we said that we weren't gonna stand for this anymore. And so this Pride, I think we need to take a stand more than we ever have at these events and events like this. And when the first one said that we're not gonna take this anymore, even though we lost this election, I'm still gonna keep repeating the phrase, we're not going back. And so there's a lot more Pride stuff coming up this month, in the late back end of the meeting, I'll let Outreach and UID talk about the cool stuff that we're doing, but I think it's important that we as Democrats, as a county, say that no matter who you love, no matter if you love, no matter who you are, no matter how you present, no matter how you refer to yourself, we're proud of you, you're welcome to this county, you're welcome to this party, you're welcome to this country, we're glad you're here, we're gonna fight to keep you. Yeah.
That's powerful, Dustin. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Sam. Like. Just a little bit on our Arlington Democrats website. Right now, we have our candidates page, which has information about primary candidates that is up and ready. It's going to be ready for our upcoming primary that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. Next slide. At this point, we have a new appointment for it's a vice chair for ROS
Roosevelt.
for the Roosevelt Obama Society. That is Sarah Rubalcaba. Can I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve it.
I heard a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Congratulations, Sarah. As many of you heard, on May 21st, Congressman Jerry Connolly passed. Congressman Connolly was more than a member of Congress. He was a champion for North Virginia And he was a model for what public service could look like. His career here spanned 30 years. And stretched from the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. All the way to Congress, 16 years in Congress. He was the chair of the Fairfax Board of Supervisors. In Congress, he served as the ranking member for the House Oversight Committee. He chaired several key subcommittees and led the U.S. delegation to the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, even serving as its president. Congressman Connolly consistently ranked among one of the most effective legislators of Congress. And he didn't do it for headlines. He did it because he got results. He fought the federal workers, smart government, local transit, and democratic values abroad. And when you questioned him, he held the line, stern and steadfast in his view. We are going to miss Congressman. And just a moment of silence. Thank you. There will be a special election to fill his seat. The governor today announced that will occur in early September. And I believe that we will hear from the 11th CD about details for their upcoming firehouse primary to select a candidate that will be running in that race. That date is June 28th, but there is not yet a call to funds. Exciting. All right, I believe I'm inviting up Sarah to speak about the Roosevelt Obama Society upcoming events.
Hi. Gosh, this is, how many knows? I know that's on the slide. So, currently we have raised, $88,000 this year to date. This is up 16.3% from this time last year. We currently have 74 sustaining donors as members of the Roosevelt and Obama Society. This is up by 12.1% from this time last year. So there's much room to grow. Please join today. Or if you have anyone that you would like to join, you send them our way. Next, tomorrow we are hosting the Roosevelt and Obama Society in the Latino Caucus is hosting a book party pocket signing for former school board chair Emma Fionlon Sanchez. All members of ROS and the Latino Caucus are welcome to join. There has been emails that have been sent out to ROS members. But you can also find the event on Eventbrite. And it is on your June's charts. So if you just want to Google that. Next, the Roosevelt and Obama Society summer picnic is going to be held on June 26th at the home of Soraya. July, sorry, did I say June? Sorry, July 26th, thank you. At the home of Soraya Tabia Headley. Soraya, where are you? I saw her. He is over there. So you guys know that's Soraya. Featuring a local up and coming rock band, and details are coming soon. Again, please join if you have not joined ROS. If you know anyone, please send them our way. Thank you.
All right, Benoit, Khalil, briefly we'll talk about our human social.
Hello, everybody. Happy Pride Month. So we're having a barbecue potluck on July the 20th. Space is limited, so please get someone mobilized now so you can go ahead and sign up. And I'm also working on some other events between now and then, possibly board games and something involving large baking. And if anybody has any ideas or any wishes for any particular events, just come talk to me. Hope to see many of you there. Yep.
Thank you, Benoit. It's really important that we're building community with one another. So please find opportunities this summer to join us at one of our tremendous socials. Excellent. All right, I'd like to invite up Monique Bryant. School board in York City.
Hey, everybody, good evening. Good evening. All right. So before I say anything else, thank you. Thank you to every single person who showed up, who voted, who believes in the democratic process, and who believes in it. I am humbled to accept the democratic endorsement for our school board. This endorsement belongs to all of us. Because this work, this fight for our public school system has always been bigger than one name on a ballot. I want to extend a heartfelt thanks to June Prakash for not only running, but for continuing to serve as the president of the Arlington Education Association. And I look forward to working with her and the Educators Union as a member of the school board. Today is a special day for Arlington families. Hundreds of our APS students graduated from our comprehensive high schools. While many are celebrating this important milestone, it reminds me of the intense responsibility that our school board members have to ensure that every child has the ability to reach their full potential. That is why I'm running for the Arlington School, because I don't live with regrets. And I knew deep in my spirit, I would regret not standing up for our children. I would regret not fighting for our values. And I most certainly would regret letting this moment pass by without doing everything I could to protect what matters the most: a fair, inclusive public education school system for all of our children. How surreal is it during a time when we are celebrating so many of our young people stepping into the next chapter of their lives, that I'm standing here accepting this endorsement to keep fighting for our public schools, our children, and our community. But let me be very clear. Beyond the school board race, there is so much more on all of the ballots. What's on the ballot is freedom. And I'm talking about real freedom. Freedom rooted in justice, in love, and in truth. Hearing the word freedom has really brought tears to my eyes, because I think all of us collectively are grieving. That's what that silence is. And it's a grief so layered that we can't sometimes catch our breath. Because we're watching decency fade, compassion become rare, and cruelty become policy. We're watching democracy, not just under attack, but be dismantled brick by brick. This administration and its enablers are trying to write our history. We know that. They want to erase the painful, truthful stories of racism, of injustice, and of resistance, our resistance. They want to erase our textbooks. They want to censor our libraries and our classrooms. And most dangerously, they want to erase the truth from our minds. But here's the truth they can't erase from me, and not from Arlington. My father, sitting right there, began his education here in this school in 1955. And 4 years later, on February 2nd, 1959, 4 brave students integrated Stratford Junior High School and changed the course of Virginia. Arlington County was the first county to desegregate its public schools, a bold step forward in a time of mass resistance, just like we have right now. And Samantha said 50 years ago for Pride, that was 65 years ago. And yet, the work to build an equitable community is far from over. We have got to keep pushing forward. This campaign is about honoring those legacies, moving it forward with empathy, engagement, and action. We owe our children and our families more, and together we can deliver. So please, let your vote be an extension of your voice. Let it speak not only for your present, but for generations to come. Let it declare our history, our truth, and that our freedom will not be erased. Let it show that we will protect every student and every staff member, no matter who they are, no matter how they love, no matter who they love, no matter how they learn or where they were born. Before I take my seat, I want to remind you of one thing. This is our moment to vote. Vote like our lives depend on it. across the ballot. This is the moment that we choose courage over comfort. This is the moment that we leave our egos and our titles at that door. This is the moment that we link arms, rooted in the belief of democracy. And that democracy is worth fighting for. And that protecting our schools and our students and our staff and the right to vote benefits the future for all of us. Take a moment and look around this room. We have a fundamental right to freedom. And we have a sacred responsibility to protect it. Please vote.
Thank you, Monique. All right, I would like to invite up our candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Senator Ghazala Hashmi.
Well, good evening, everyone. So wonderful to join Arlington Dems. Thank you for this opportunity to be here with you this evening and to introduce myself. And I just want to thank Samantha and Monique for such words of inspiration. Both of you have really reminded us about what we're fighting for, what this moment in history means for us. I know I have been inspired, so thank you to both of you for your words this evening. Just a quick introduction for myself. I was told I have 45 minutes to speak, so I'll try to use my time wisely. The reason I always go to 45 minutes is because that was usually the length of my lectures. See, I was a college professor for almost 30 years, and it's a form of habit to talk for quite some time and to explain things in detail. And I've learned how to be a little bit more precise. So I'll keep it to 40 minutes instead of 45. But I am just delighted to be here. So as I shared, I was a college professor. English is my field, teaching American literature specifically. And more specifically, I was at Reynolds Community College in Richmond for close to 20 years. And I never thought I would leave the classroom. You know, I wanted to continue to work in that space. But in 2016, something happened to all of us, happened to our country. And in particular, I felt like I just couldn't sit still anymore. I couldn't be in the classroom alone. I had to actually come out publicly and take a stance. That election of Donald Trump was absolutely devastating to me, particularly as a faculty of American literature, where I had spent a career teaching about the critical ideals that define our American identity, our democracy, and our hope and promise for an entire world. I taught the Federalist Papers, Constitution of the United States. I taught the philosophy of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the poetry of Walt Whitman. And these were the core messages that I was sending to my students about who and what we are. And the election of Donald Trump just shattered that. I just didn't know if I could still speak to the America that I valued, knowing that we were seeing the introduction of racism, of bigotry, of intolerance. This wasn't the America that I loved. And particularly for me, I felt targeted. I am an immigrant. I was born in India. I grew up in Georgia, you know, coming with my visa from Georgia to Virginia. That was the big challenge that was a joke. But I had lived in Virginia now for over 30 years. And as an immigrant and as a Muslim in particular, I just felt very, very targeted by Trump. And I just had to respond to those negative stereotypes. And so I decided to run for the Virginia Senate, you know, a seat in the Richmond area representing Richmond, Chesterfield, Powhatan, that had been in Republican hands for almost 40 years. Well, why not? Why not challenge that complacency of a red seat? And a lot of people told me, Ghazala, please don't run. We've got other candidates. We've got someone who is better for this particular seat. You're not the right kind of Democratic candidate at this moment, not in this particular seat. You're an immigrant, you're a Muslim, you're a first-time candidate, but you know, I spent 30 years as a mild-mannered English teacher. And if you know English teachers, you know that we're anything but mild-mannered. We're actually teaching the books that other people are busy trying to ban. And so I love a good challenge. And I said, I'm gonna run just to prove that we are making a moment in history, that we're defying what Trump is trying to tell us about who and what we are as Americans. And so I took on that challenge, won a very competitive primary, and then went on to flip that seat, take out a Republican incumbent and flipped it by 10 points. And that success in central Virginia, in the heart of what was the former Confederacy, that success brought in the 1-seat majority into the Virginia Senate. It gave us the trifecta, and that year we went on to pass consequential legislation. We passed the ERA, we passed the voting rights that we are enjoying now. We passed critical gun safety legislation, environmental protections, and we put into place the Reproductive Health Act that continues to protect Virginia despite what every other state in the South has done on abortion issues. That's the power of 1 seat. And so in that response, in that same kind of thinking, we're facing now the second Trump administration. Trump 2.0 is worse, as we've seen, categorically worse than what we went through with that first administration. I decided to run for lieutenant governor because there's no time to waste. Out of everyone that's running for this particular seat, I have the most experience now in the Virginia General Assembly. I've been there for 6 years. I'm in there for 2 terms. I chair the Senate Committee on Education and Health. So every major piece of legislation impacts the critical areas of education and healthcare in Virginia comes through my committee. I've got the experience, I've got the legislative record. I'm ready to do the hard work. We have to hit the ground running. We need an executive team that's going to step in January and be able to respond effectively to what we're seeing come with Trump. Because our Medicaid is on the line. With Medicaid on the line, it means every aspect of our healthcare system is on the line. With the dismantling of the U.S. Department of Education, we are losing the protections that guarantee access to public education for every child in Virginia. I've already gone to work crafting the legislation that I'm going to introduce in special session in September so that we are in a place to build a strong response to what Donald Trump is trying to do. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we have to work hard. This is a moment that calls for English teachers to take a stance. You know, I love teaching English. I particularly love grammar, I love parts of speech, and we already heard tonight about the people who are so afraid of pronouns. They're trying to run the country when they can't even define what a pronoun is. And I'm here to say I love pronouns, and I want to remind everybody that the very first word in our Constitution is a pronoun, and that pronoun is we, as in we the people, and we the people of Virginia in 2025 are going to send such a response to Donald Trump that the rest of the country will hear it, that we are stronger together, we're resilient together, and together in Virginia in November, we are going to save our Commonwealth, we're going to save our country. Thank you so much for letting me talk to you.
All right, now to talk about that path forward, I am going to invite up Juan Delgado from the Spanberger campaign.
Well, that is an excellent pivot point. How do we win in November? If we can go over to the next slide. Oh, more closer? Okay. I got it. So in the next slide, so we're kicking off a huge, weekend of action and Drive Run 1. This is gonna be our test runs to test our volunteer leaders, make sure our Canvas sites are 100% volunteer operational. And we want to keep scaling that upward. So I encourage everybody to take out their phones right now. And if you're an experienced canvasser or a new volunteer, please scan this QR code for the Canvas site at Kip and Sarah's home. They're also looking for people to help with staffing those Canvas sites. So if you want to get involved that way with our campaign, we greatly appreciate it. We know that for these next 2 weekends to turn out as many voters as possible for the primary. We want to knock on over 3,000 doors in Arlington County. Sounds like a lot, but as of April, we've knocked on 5,000. So I'm more than confident in these next 2 weekends, we'll definitely be able to blow past that goal. All right, next slide. So this is how we scaled up. We are always looking for volunteer leaders. So if you have a chance as well to scan this QR code, it takes you to a volunteer leader sign up form. I'm happy to discuss with anybody ways to get involved with our campaign. As you know, for most campaigns, the biggest push is going to be the Canvas launches. So we want to keep scaling that upward and build as many Canvas site locations here in Arlington County so that we can not only help get Abigail elected, but also all our local candidates once we transition into the coordinated campaign. So please take a moment to scan that QR code, and I look forward to speaking with everybody soon.
Thank you, Juan. All right, I'm gonna invite up Brian Coleman for an outreach update.
Good evening, Arlington Democrats.
Good evening.
Thanks so much for coming out tonight. We've got a lot to cover. We've got a bunch of events that we'll be going over coming up through June, as well as some updates on the weekend through May. So here you can see our outreach team. We've got over a dozen caucuses that cover Latino caucus, API caucus, women's caucus, Black caucus, business, so on and so forth. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. Outreach are the eyes and ears for party. We represent so much of the great diversity that makes this party a wonderful organization to be part of. So if you'd like to participate and help us, please reach out to me. I'll be around. So you can volunteer and get plugged in wherever you'd like to. Next slide, please. Right. We have a couple of announcements. First, for upcoming events in June. Our first is on June 5th. We have a Labor Caucus happy hour happening tomorrow evening at Courthouse Social, 6 p.m. It's led by our Labor Caucus Chair, Keith Willis. So if you're interested in coming, it's free to attend. Please just be there, and you'll be our first in-person happy hour, I think in 2-3 years actually. So really excited to have you come by. Our next event is June 14th for the Columbia Pike Blues Fest. This is more of a laid-back thing, so you just want to stop by, listen to some great music. I'll be there. It's on Wall Street Drive in Columbia Pike from 1 to 8:30 p.m. Next, we have our Disability Caucus monthly meeting on Zoom, virtual from 2 to 3:30 p.m. on the 22nd. That Zoom link can be found on our calendar. So if you'd like to participate and hear updates for our amazing Disability Caucus chair, is actually right there in the back. Please join some of our great caucuses. And lastly, on July 1st, we'll have our 8th annual Eid celebration event, Lover Run, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. It's one of our tentpole events. It's an excellent time, great music, fantastic dancing. The food is amazing. I volunteered there. It's a great time. We have excellent speakers and panelists. So please join us on July 1st. We have a couple of leadership vacancies. We are looking for, thank you. We have our Quality Caucus chair we're looking for. We're also looking for a Festivals and Farmers Markets Caucus vice chair. This is primarily someone who would step in and assist, and we have our tabling events at our farmers markets. We've got one courthouse, we've got one in Green Valley, and we also set up tables at any number of countywide events that you are a part of. So please reach out to me or to our Bethlehem Farmers Markets Chair, Rob Miller, who's also in the back there. We're also looking for membership for our Civility Caucus Leadership Board. And a few miscellaneous announcements. We are still collecting donations for APAC under our Veterans and Military Families Caucus in the back there behind Tony Beavers. So please, if you have any donations, we table every single month, so please feel free to donate. We're also looking for volunteers for the Green Valley Farmers Market I mentioned earlier. It's a newer farmers market, just began this year in April. It's an important event because it's situated right here behind us, actually, in the plaza area in the historically Black community. So please, we really need volunteers for this. It's really incredibly important to have a presence there. We're also looking for volunteers for the Interfaith Youth Planning Committee, as well as the day of events. So if you're interested in helping out, we need people to transport some things, help with serving up food, setting up, taking down, please reach out to me or to the Interfaith Caucus Chair, Fatima, later on. Slide. Yes, then we have a handful of events that took place in May. The first, as many of you know, back in March, Dr. Badr Khan Suri was seized from his family, basically for thought crimes, right? He expressed his First Amendment rights and was seized and detained in Texas back in March. In May, we had a number of Democratic leaders. We had our county board member, J.D. Spain, as you can see in the picture. We also had State Senator Jennifer Boysko, county board members in Cunningham, and a number of Democratic leaders show up and protest outside the courthouse in Alexandria on the day that he was finally released from detention in Texas, because we believe that if this is a country about freedom and everyone has the right to express themselves, and if we care about this, then we have to be able to stand by those people who are being unjustly detained or exercising their rightful protected speech. Next slide, please. And just to show a glimpse of what we do in the community. So we had Arlington Palooza last month. It was an excellent event, a little windy, but we were able to keep everything down and get out our message to plenty of voters and members of the community. We're able to get packets sent out to, I believe, half a dozen people during our time, just to make sure that people understood that there's a primary coming up and that your vote really matters, especially now more than ever. As said earlier, this is a time for us to stand up and really make sure that we can look back and say definitively that we did everything we could in this moment to defend this country and what it stands for. So please, if you have any inkling of interest in some of the events, please reach out to me or any of our amazing outreach team to get in contact and see where you can fit in. And lastly, as I mentioned earlier, we do have our Eid celebration coming up July 1st. I will pass it over to our Interfaith Caucus Chair, Fatima, to cover that. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, good evening, Arlington Democrats.
Good evening. Good evening.
All right. So I'm gonna be very brief. Most of you guys know the drill. You should by now. We've done it 7 years in a row at this point. And I can't believe I'm actually saying this. This is our 8th annual Interfaith Eid celebration. It's something I'm very, very proud of, and proud in particular because it demonstrates what a welcoming and diverse community this is for communities of diversity. And this year we're going to be the format's a little different. Typically, it's still going to be a celebration to bring people together, which it always has been.
and I hope will always continue to be. This year, we're going to have 3 co-sponsors of the event, obviously Arlington Dems Outreach and Advocacy. AYDs who have always supported us every year and have been a very vibrant addition to our celebration. And the addition this year is Inclusion and Equity, which I also happen to chair. And I see a great overlap between all of these co-sponsors, and I'm very proud to have them all involved. So the event is going to be on Tuesday, July 1st. It's at Lumber Run Community Center, 6 to 8:30 p.m., as we said before. And we are going to have, this year, we're going to have a community conversation on what it means to belong in this community. And talking about issues of hate and bigotry that have, only worsened, unfortunately. So the need for this, I feel the need for this event in particular, in general, and the conversation in particular has gotten even more, has become even more necessary. So there will be a panel, it'll be a community conversation. We'll also have the traditional halal feast and lots of networking and getting to know one's neighbors, and a very festive event in general. One other thing, I do need volunteers. This event doesn't, it doesn't organize itself. So we need people to help put it together. I've been exceptionally fortunate in previous years. I've had everybody at every level of the community, from electeds to precinct captains, to just members, although there's no such thing as just a member, but I've been very fortunate to have volunteers. So just, contact me at let's see, Interfaith Caucus at arlingtondemocrats.org. That email will come directly to me. I'm sorry, I don't have it on the slide, but that's it. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Fatima. All right, I would like to invite up our deputy, Rachel Halpern, who will be speaking as our deputy for Precinct Steps.
I'm gonna substitute deputy today. Sarah and Fran for not available. So I'll try my best. Next slide, please. So there's one piece of business that we have to go through. We're very excited. We have a new precinct captain nominee for 4 Mile Run, Lisa McGregor. Lisa, if you're here, maybe raise your hand, but if you're not, we can elect you anyway. I think we have to, you move to vote. You move to over. Great. Do we have a second? All right, all those in favor? Anybody against? All right, Lisa, you're a precinct captain. Get to work. If you too would like to be a precinct captain, or you know somebody somebody else would like to be a precinct captain, there's a lot of openings. Many precincts we're still looking for precinct captains, especially in Wakefield. Sarah wanted me to emphasize that one. So, if you or somebody you know would like to step up and be a precinct captain, please let us know with the email above, or talk to me or Sarah or Fran. Next slide. Precinct captains already have their instructions about what we're going to be doing at the polls on June 17th. We've got the polls covered for most of the day in each precinct with volunteers who will be recruiting new volunteers. I think last year on primary day, I think we got something like 500 new volunteers. This is always a very important day for us. So thanks precinct captains for recruiting poll readers for us. Next slide. We're not just working precinct operations, we're also fun reading. So there's a precinct operations book club. The next book that the book club is going to be discussing is True Biz, which is about students at a high school for the deaf. And the club will be meeting on the first Tuesday of the month. So I guess that's July something. Anyway, all these events are on Mobilize, so you can sign up and you can even see the books that are coming up. You can look at the next slide, please. Yep, we got a whole list of books that we've got to get through, so everybody, order your books, go to the library, put them on hold. We're ready to talk just, hopefully we'll make, Senator Hashmi proud in our discussion of American. And finally, the last slide, so precinct operations, we were also helping out with voter registration events at the different farmers markets around Arlington. Of course, there's already a great group that does one every single week at courthouse, but we've been rotating through different farmers markets. And I know there's a lot of people who are here who have helped out so far. We've had a lot of great events. I just came from one at the Roslyn Farmers Market. Got lots of people who are interested. We've recruited a couple of new volunteers. So we have a couple coming up. There are QR codes if you want to volunteer at one of those. And then if you're a precinct captain or even just a regular old Democrat and you have an idea about a date and a place where you might like to host a voter registration event, please let us know and we will do what we can to support you. That's all I have, Paul.
Thank you, Rachel. All right, I would like to welcome up, and I see he's already here, Bob Platt for governance.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, so voter support is one of the more recent additions to the org chart. And we really came about out of the joint campaign. A lot of us have been doing this for decades in the joint campaign and also partially out of precinct operations. The 5 major areas of voter support are voter registrations, voter education, voter protection, early voting, poll reading, and outreach. This is where we go to those early voting centers and send out sample ballots, and we also mail letters to vote by mail. And then rides to the poll on election day itself. Next slide. The way we vote has changed drastically in the last 10 years. We've now gotten a voter turnout to 77% of the active voters in the 2024 election. But how did they vote? Well, 40% voted the traditional way on election day, and we get to those people with the sample ballot. 16% vote by mail, and what we do is we try to send out a letter within 48 hours of when the Board of Elections sends out a letter. The absentee ballot itself, we send out a letter corresponding with that with a copy of the grip card. And then 44%, which is really the biggest growth, has been in early voting because Virginia liberalized the early voting laws. We've had people voting at the courthouse, people voting at the aquatic center, and we've been there early in the mornings at 8 o'clock to set up and hand out sample ballots. Next slide, please. So what are our next steps? We're waiting until the 17th to find out who all of the slate is. And then once we know the full slate, we'll update the Arlington Votes web pages. We'll try to get translations of our materials into Spanish and other languages. We'll update flyers that can be posted in condos and apartment buildings, and we'll continue voter registration and education efforts. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Bob. All right, let's do an AYD update. For AYD, I'll invite up Austin Locke.
Okay, all right. Let's say I'm employing Sam for a little bit of show trickery here, so I'm not keeping track of the slides, but hey everyone, my name is Austin Locke. I'm the Vice President of the Arlington Young Democrats. And since the month of June is Pride, I'm here to make sure that you not only speak up, but you show up at a lot of events that we're having this year. And I haven't seen a lot of you at AYD events, so I'm gonna say at the top, AYD events are open to everyone. You don't have to meet the age requirement for membership just to show up at our events, and I promise we're really fun. And I've seen some of you sing, and we do karaoke, so we show up. But the first thing we have this month is our Pride Parade celebration. So this year we will be kind of meeting up in solidarity and showing out while wearing sunscreen. at the Metro Center station where we will all kind of gang up and then walk to the parade ground together so we can kind of celebrate and show our solidarity. But if you want more information on that, please sign up on our Mobilize link where we'll send out additional information the day of with specific, like address locations and times to meet up. And also in case you missed the meetup and you're joining us later, you'll know where to go when you think. Next up is our social hour, because backed by popular demand, we are going to Freddy's again. Our June social hour kicks off at 6:30, and for those of you who take public transit, it's really easy to get to. It's a short walk from the Crystal City Metro Station. And if you're a bus rider, it's even closer because the 10A, 23A, and 23B buses drop off right at the front door. So basically I have no excuse. And there's parking around back too if you drive. So super easy to get to. So come out with us and celebrate for some cocktails and for community. But the big thing I wanted to talk about tonight was kind of zooming out a little bit and examining that AYD is not just about fun. We have a bigger plan that we're working on this year, and Brian and I have been building it all year long. And as you can see right now, we're just in step 2. But month after month, the whole purpose of this is to not only make our chapter stronger, but to build power for the Democratic Party across the common. And as part of step 1, we trained our members. You all actually helped do that. You believed in us, and because of your strong support, we sent our largest delegation of 30 people. The largest delegation we sent in over a decade down the convention down in March. So all these folks you see up here and across the room, they have been trained on what to do, and they are fired up and ready to flip seats. But as part of phase 2, which is what we're in right now, which is supporting candidates, we've chosen to raise money for Lily Franklin down in Southwest Virginia. For those of you who don't know, she's running an HD 41, which includes the Virginia Tech campus in Blacksburg. So it's a great opportunity for us to pick it up. And frankly, flipping HD 41 would be monumental. It is currently been held by Republicans for a long time, and if we can flip that seat, our majority increases by +1 in Southwest Virginia. It's not really a friendly place. We're Democrats, so flipping that seat would be fantastic.
Not yet.
True, because back in 2023, she came up 183 votes short. If you map that out to per precinct, that's 6 votes per precinct. One large family going to vote changes it in a precinct for her. And frankly, back then, no one thought this race was competitive, but she worked her butt off and she showed everyone that if you put time in rural communities, the Democratic message actually resonates.
Right.
And basically, we're choosing Lily Franklin because she, after speaking with her, she knows exactly what's at stake. If we lose the House of Delegates, we lose abortion rights in Virginia, the last state in the South that protects them. If we lose the House of Delegates, we lose the ability to marry who you love. We lose voting rights. We lose civil rights. We lose basic decency. So I basically have one question for you. Is keeping $100 of your money worth risking your fundamental rights? Because frankly, for me, money is not more important than my marriage. That's why I joined the host committee, because for me, this isn't politics. It's personal. It's about your friends. It's about your family. It's about your neighbors. It's about people who you will never meet, but whose lives you made better because you stepped up when it counted. This is that moment. And the way we stand up and fight is making sure Lily has the resources she needs to campaign in every corner of her district. So whether it's $100, $250, something. Now is the time. We either show up for Lily Franklin or we watch all of the rights we spent the last decade fighting for getting rolled back. It's happening at the federal level. We've got to stop it here in Virginia. So scan the QR code and let's get together and fight and flip HD 41. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. All right, I'd like to invite back up our Beyond Arlington Deputy Rose Fabia. Here, Rose.
Okay, so I'm the deputy chair for Beyond Arlington, and it's my turn. And let me tell you what's going on in the races over here. We believe there are 15 races that we can capture, so that we can go from a 1-seat majority to a 15-seat majority. The ones in yellow are the ones that we believe we can flip. And there's many reasons for it. The next slide will explain to you. The ones in blue are the ones that are the incumbents, but they were very close races. So the next slide. As you can see on offense are the yellow ones. Now, basically what happened, even though they lost, the 2023 margin was very, very slim, especially for Kimberly Pope Adams, who lost by 78 votes, and then, of course, as Lily Franklin did 183 votes. But they're doable. These days, I think we really have it just because of this administration and what they're doing to us in so many different ways, attaching us our freedom, our rights, and the economy. And so, the next slide. So it'd be an offense with those 12 seats, and then on defense with these 3 blue seats, Josh Cole, Michael Figgins, and Josh Thomas. We really need to make sure, because they barely won, we need to make sure we keep them in the seat. And so we want to concentrate on those. And lastly, Elizabeth Guzman. She's the one that's the closest of all those 12 races that's within driving distance of us at Prince William County. And I just think she's terrific. Now, she's been a delegate before. She's a social worker, a delegate, she's a Latina immigrant, mother of 4, pro-union. And she has, in her past time that she was a delegate, she introduced 100 bills in education and environment, and she's been absolutely successful. Mostly, I think, right now we need her for representation. We need her to represent the Latin community, because things are really bad these days because of this administration. And she's a strong candidate, and I think she'll win, but she needs our help. And so I hope you go out there to canvass for her. Also, just get involved. The sister district right now is providing canvassing, but I think she's going to gear up and have her own mobilized link after June 17th. And also, we can't forget not only beyond Arlington, but in Arlington, Nolanowski and Sarah will be hosting the Spanberger campaign. And I hope you go out there. I'll be tabling it on the 7th, the 8th, and the 15th. Oh, 14th is hands crossed. That's all. So please get active. There's so much to do. And that's it.
Thank you, Rose. Rose, one of our most formidable volunteers in the committee. Thank you so much for commuting, Rose. And thank you so much to our deputy chairs and leaders who spoke tonight. To give us a brief update from our bylaws committee, I welcome up our parliamentarian, Jesse.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Jessie Ojeda. I'm a parliamentarian. I promise to keep this very brief because I know that bylaws are not the most intriguing subject, but we do have an important amendment for you all to discuss tonight. Next slide, please. So we have a proposed amendment that steering committee recently discussed. This amendment would make 2 primary changes. First is a technical amendment regarding the date of the reorg meeting, and second and more substantive is an amendment that would impact our associate membership and voting eligibility for the reorg. Next slide, please. So this provides an overview. I know it is a small text. We will circulate the proposed text in the next few weeks. But essentially, under this amendment, eligibility for voting in the reorg, which primarily consists of executive and precinct chair leadership. Meaning that voting for our executive, like our president, would be limited to those members. Currently, it includes anybody in Arlington who registers as a Democrat and certifies that impact. So essentially, the goal of this amendment would be to limit voting eligibility to our most active members. We will be debating this in the next few meetings. Steering committee agreed to delay the vote until September, when we generally have higher turnout. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can feel free to email me. I'm not sure if I included that on the next slide. Yes, I did. God, prior me was intelligent. So you email this account if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or of course speak with our chair, Steve. And like I said, you will have some time to think this over, or we bring it to a vote for all of you to decide on this. I do want to emphasize this is an important decision that impacts our fundamental way of operating for our reward, so please give it due consideration and please come to me with any concerns. Thank you so much. Oh. Brian AYD here will speak on the agreement.
But a motion. Just to make sure we are within Robert's rule, for the central committee, I move to postpone further consideration of this bylaw amendment to the regular September meeting scheduled to be held on September 3rd at 7 p.m. to schedule 20 minutes of discussion at both the July and August regular meetings to be held on July 2nd and August 6th, respectively at 7 p.m. and to collect central committee member feedback in writing via Google form to be made available with the responses to be made available 7 days before the vote at the September 3rd meeting. So for September 2nd. So there is a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we will work on getting the Google form out to some voting members to provide your feedback, and of course, 20 minutes discussion at each meeting before the September meeting. Yeah, I think September 3rd is the Wednesday. Yes, it will be at the September regular meeting. Yes, no problem. I would have to hand that over to our parliamentarian for further discussion.
Yes, we're not having a debate tonight because we had a full agenda. We will have it open for a full debate and discussion at next month's meeting and the following meeting as well, with the vote occurring in September. And like Brian mentioned, you'll have a Google form where you can submit feedback and questions. We recognize that this is something that needs to be debated by our full membership before it comes to a vote, and want to make sure everyone has time to read through the full text before we have that debate, which is why we're not doing it tonight.
But did this go through the bylaws committee before here?
Yeah, so this was originally brought through steering committee, which is a subset of our leadership. We did not make a final vote on this. Obviously, that is not within our power. We did agree to bring it forward to the broader membership for debate and discussion. I will say that there is not a unanimous decision on this by the steering committee. People have different opinions. We will discuss those, and you're of course welcome to talk to the individual steering committee members for their thoughts, but we are not making a unified stance on this as a committee. Any other questions?
I just say, I appreciate that. I was had a little more clear. Thanks for being that.
Yes, apologies, I was running late, which is why this got moved into the end of the debate tonight.
Sure, it's not.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you all for coming out. Rose just reminded me of an event that's coming up June 6th.
Just want to let you know, if you're interested in Unite for Veterans on June 6th at 2 p.m. Michaela Pond and I will be leading a group at the courthouse. We'll be gathering at 1:15. So if you want to go with the group, we have about 25 people. We can always add more people to the and support your veterans.
All right, thank you all for coming out tonight. Happy Pride Month. Let's go out there. Let's go win this with some friends. Thank you all. It's like, oh my God, it's like fire. See you guys. All right.
Alright, okay. Technology that makes things so much easier.
Okay, make sure. I missed the last hearing.
Am I good to end this thing?
Sorry?
Am I good to end this thing?
Yeah.